All right, going over the review for chapter 10. You guys only had to do the odds, but again, answers for everything will be on Canvas, so you have it. So looking at 10.1, it says, tell whether the line, ray, or segment is best described as a radius, chord, diameter, secant, or tangent of circle P. So looking at PK, this is my radius. Looking at ray JL, this is my tangent. And line NL, this is my secant. Okay, so those are pretty easy just identifying. Looking at the next question, it says, tell whether the common tangent is internal or external. It's going through, so this is my internal. All right, looking at number 9, it says points y and z are points of tangency. Find the value of the variable. So for this one, I have to solve for A. How am I solving for A? I know that these two segments are congruent because they're both my tangents. Whenever I have the cone shape, they're congruent. So for this one, solving it, I'm going to have 9a squared minus 30 equals 3a. And yes, I'm going to have to factor for this one, so I'm going to subtract 3a from both sides. I'm solving for a. I'm going to end up getting 9a squared minus 3a minus 30 equals 0, writing in standard form so I can use it. So factoring, keep in mind I'm going to have to multiply my two numbers. What two numbers am I multiplying? Negative 30 and 9 to get me this top number, so it's going to be on the larger side. Negative 270 and negative 3. Does anybody know what numbers we're using for this? Good. Negative 18 and positive 15. So how am I writing it? Keep in mind I am going to have to slide and divide because I have a 9 first. Okay, my leading coefficient is a 9. So for this, I'm going to have a minus 18. And let me leave some space. A plus 15. So sliding and dividing if I have to. This is going to simplify to 2 as a whole. This is going to simplify to 5 over 3. And I'm going to have to slide that 3. So I'm going to go ahead and write it over here. I'm going to end up having, do not forget this step, I'm going to have a minus 2 and 3a plus 5. Keep in mind I have to solve for a, so I'm going to set it as a minus 2 equals 0 and 3a plus 5 equals 0. Don't forget this, I have to solve for a, so I'm going to go ahead and add 2 to both sides of my equal sign. A equals a positive 2, and then I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. I'm going to get 3a equals negative 5, divide by 3, and a equals negative 5 over 3. I cannot have a negative number as my segment. So my answer for this one is going to be a equals 2. Okay, so I will go ahead and write it up here. A is going to equal 2. Questions on this one? Okay. Looking at 11. Again, they told us Z is my point of tangency, so I know for this one I do have a right triangle. So I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for my R. Pay attention to how I'm solving this. I have 9 squared plus r squared is going to equal my hypotenuse, and my hypotenuse is 3 plus r. So I'm going to have 3 plus r. Keep in mind everything is squared, and yes, I have to FOIL this one. So 3 plus r times 3 plus r. Do not distribute. You're going to get it wrong if you distribute. You're going to get 9 plus 3r. Plus 3r plus r squared. Combine my like terms. 9 plus 6r equals, or not equals, plus r squared. So plugging it in, I'm going to have 81 plus r squared equals 9 plus 6r plus r squared. And again, I'm still solving for r. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract r squared from both sides. They're going to cancel each other out. 81 equals 9 plus 6r. Subtract 9 from both sides. I'm going to end up getting 72 equals 6r. Divide by 6. And if you divide it correctly, r is going to equal 12 as my answer. All right, questions on number 11. Okay. All right, looking at the next one, 13, it says use the diagram above to find the measure of the indicated arc. So keep in mind with this one, they are giving me my central angle. Looking at arc KL, which is right here, my central angle is 100, so that means my arc measure is also gonna be 100 degrees. That was pretty easy. And then 15, it's asking for the arc of KL or KM. Okay, that's keep in mind when you have two points, you're going the shortest distance. Do not go the other way. Always go the shortest distance from one point to another. If they're giving you two, it's the shortest distance. So looking at it, I need to find what's missing. Okay, I know that this segment right here is, or this arc is 120. This arc is going to be 80. How do I know it's 80? Because this is my diameter. It goes straight through. If I have 100 of it, I have 80 left over because it's 180 for a straight line. All I'm doing is adding those two and subtracting it from 360. So I'm going to get 120 plus 80. I'm going to end up getting 200. And then 200. I'm taking that away from 360, and my answer is going to be 160. Again, the evens will be on canvas. All right, looking at the next one, number 7, tell whether the red arcs are congruent. Explain why or why not. Are those red arcs congruent? No, they are not. Good. Not congruent. Why? Sorry? Because the circles are not congruent. Okay, my circles are not congruent. All right, looking at the next ones, you guys have to understand the concepts behind this. So if I'm looking at it, they're giving me my central angle. I know that this central angle is 60 degrees, so that means this arc right here is also going to be 61 degrees. And because the segment's congruent, that means my arcs are also congruent. So knowing that, AB is going to be 61 degrees. Okay, that one was pretty easy. All right, I'm still finding the measure of arc AB for 21. And looking at this, what do I know? I also know that these segments are congruent, which makes my arcs congruent. So if arc ED is 91 and it's congruent to AB, then I'll also know that this is 91 degrees. All right, any questions on 10.2 and 10.3? All right, going to 10.4, inscribed angles. Looking at this, I'm going from my angle to my arc. What do I have to do with that measure? You can tell me, what do I have to do with that measure? Good, I'm multiplying times 2, so I'm going to take 40 times 2. X is going to equal 80 degrees for my arc. Looking at this one, a couple things we have to know. We have to know that this angle and this angle, they both share the same arc. And once I know they share the same arc, then I also know these angles are congruent. So solving for D, I'm going to have 14D equals 70. Divide both sides by 14. If you divided correctly, D is going to equal 5. And looking at 27, similar to the one we just did, a couple things I know. These two angles are going to share the same arc. Okay, so again, they're going to share the same arc, and if they share the same arc, that means my angles are congruent. So M is 44 degrees. And then looking at the next one, this angle and this angle, again, those two angles share the same arc. So once I know that these two arcs are going to be congruent, so N is going to be 39 degrees. All right, questions on 23, 25, and 27. Still, please make sure you know how to do 24, 26, and 28. Those will, again, be on Canvas. All right, looking at these for 10-5, 2 ways you can solve for 29. One way is, well, first I know, looking at this, I have 2 tangents. And there's 2 ways to solve for the angle. One way is to use the rule big minus little divided by 2 equals your angle. Or you can take your little angle and subtract it from 180. So I'm going to do both. So looking at it, first thing I need to do is find my little arc, which is right here. All I have to do is 360 minus 250. That's going to give me 110. So now 2 ways. One way is most people will identify it as big minus little. So I'm going to do 250 minus 110 divided by 2 is going to equal my x. So subtracting, I'm going to get 140 divided by 2, and x is going to equal 70. That's one way to do it. Or I can take that little angle. Keep in mind you can only do this when you have 2 tangents, when you're given 2 tangents. I could do 180 minus 110 equals x. If I solved correctly, x is going to equal 70. So it all depends on how you're able to identify it. We're still going to get to the same answer, x equals 70. But 2 ways you can solve it. All right, looking at 31, this one here, I have 2 secants. And for this one, I have to use big minus little divided by 2 equals my angle. Plugging in what I have. Please make sure you're plugging in what you have and not adding it anywhere else. My big is 96. My little, I don't know. I'm still dividing by 2. And they gave me my angle, which was 40. So, just highlighting so you know, this is my big, which was my 96. My little is my x, which I do not know. And then my angle is what was given, which is 40. Okay, so please be aware I'm just plugging in information where it goes. So solving for x, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. I'm going to have 96 minus x equals 80. Subtract 96 from both sides. If you subtract it correctly, negative x is going to equal negative 16. God bless you. Divide by negative 1. And x equals 16 as a whole. All right, 32 and 30, again, you have to know how to do those for your test. Please make sure you solve them. It'll be on Canvas as well. Looking at this one, 33. What do I have? Looking at this one, I'm solving for a piece of my segment, so I'm using a different rule. So looking at this, I know I have two secants. So with my two secants, my rule is whole times external equals whole times external. So highlighting and identifying what's what, I'm going to have my whole, which is right here, meaning I'm going to have to add my external, which is right here. Then I'm going to have my whole for my other segment, which is right here. And then my external, which was my x. So solving it, writing out what I have, please be aware of the setup. I'm going to have 10 times 4 equals 3 plus x times x. Keep in mind I have to distribute that x. I'm going to get 40 equals 3x plus x squared. And I have to solve for x. So that means, yes, I am going to have to factor minus 40 from both sides. I'm going to write in standard form. I'm going to get x squared plus 3x minus 40. Going ahead and factoring it, what are my factors that multiply to give me negative 40? And the same numbers that add to give me 3. Please think about it. You should have had 8 and negative 5. So writing it out, I'm going to have x plus 8 and x minus 5. Keep in mind I'm solving for x, so I need to set them equal to 0. I'm going to have x plus 8 equals 0. A lot of people forget this step and then just give me the answer as 8. That's incorrect. If I'm solving for 0, I have to subtract 8 from both sides. So I'm going to get x equals negative 8, and then adding 5 to both sides. I'm going to get x equals positive 5. Keep in mind I cannot have a negative segment. So my answer is going to be x plus 5. Okay, please make sure you know those rules. Looking at 35. Looking here, I'm going to have a secant and a tangent. When I'm given a secant and my tangent, my rule is tan squared equals whole times external. So what's my tangent? My tan is my tangent line. My whole is this entire line, adding them. And then my external is just my external of my secant line. So plugging in what I have and solving for x, I'm going to have 12 squared equals 8 plus x times 8, distributing that 8. I'm going to get 144 equals 64 plus 8x. Subtracting 64 from both sides of my equal sign. If you subtracted correctly, you should have had 80 equals 8x, and then all you have to do is divide by 8. If you divide it, x is going to equal 10 as your answer. All right, questions so far on these? That's 10.6. Let's go ahead and go to 10.7. This is circles on a coordinate plane. So it says write the standard equation of the circle shown. For this, you have to know two things before you write your equation. Well, technically 3. You have to know how to write it in standard form using standard equation. And then you have to find your center and your radius. Please be in mind, some of your graphs are not going to go by ones. So pay attention to that as well. So looking at this one, my center. What is the coordinates of the center of my circle? It's going to be good, 4, -1. And then what's my radius? 3. Good. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and write my Standard equation right here, because you have to remember it's not going to be given to you. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals your radius squared. Keep in mind I'm solving for what I can solve for. So what do I have knowing that rule? I'm going to have x minus 4 squared plus y minus -1 squared equals 3 squared. Solving for my answer, I'm going to have x minus 4 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 9. And that's my answer. Looking at the next one, 39, identify what I can. I know my center is 0, 0, it's at the origin. And my radius, looking at my radius, it's going to be 4. So for this one, it's just going to be x squared plus y squared equals 4 squared. And solving it, I'm going to have x squared plus y squared is going to equal 16. And that is my answer. All right, looking at the next ones, it says write the standard equation of the circle with the given center and radius. So doing these quickly, I'm going to write what they should look like and then what the answers should be. So for this one, I'm going to have x minus -5 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 1.3 squared. So if you solved that correctly, your answer should have been x plus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 1.3 squared is going to be 1.69, and that should have been your answer. Looking at the next one, following the same steps, you should have had x minus -3 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 16 squared. If you solved correctly, you should have had x plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 256 as your answer. And looking at the next one, because your center is at 0, 0, it's just going to be x squared plus y squared equals 5.2 squared. And solving it, x squared plus y squared equals 27.04. All right, 47 to 48, don't worry about those two. You're not going to get a question like that on your test. But yes, you will see something like 46, so please make sure you know how to find the distance between the 2 points.